John, are the eyes of the pigeon important to you? This one in particular looks to have a very light-coloured eye.
Yeah, he's got, Ray, the red and white colouring exactly the same as this, goes back in 5 generations to the original pigeon I bought at a Jack Metcalf sale back in 1979, and he had exactly the same colour eye as this. I know that eyes mean a lot to me in a family of pigeons, but as far as eye sign for whether they're distance pigeons or whatever, on 10 points on a pigeon, I think the eyes, as far as that's concerned, is number 11.
So you don't rank it at all?
Not at all. I think different coloured eyes I've had on different pigeons that have flown Alice Springs, and to me it's so hard to detect that I just ignore it.
John, when it comes time to pair up, how do you decide on which birds you'd mate together?
Well, that's pretty simple for me, Ray, because I only have 10 stock hens, and those 10 stock hens are usually birds that have bred good pigeons for me, are inbred to the family, and I mate them up on paper first to the 20 stock cocks that I've got, which then means I've used 10 stock cocks up, and then I look at the other 10 stock cocks that I've got left, and I go to the race cage and find what's there, inbred birds to the family or an outcross or something like that, and then I mate these to the remaining cock birds.
Do you only breed off pigeons with performance, or if they're brothers or sisters to winners, would you keep them as stock pigeons?
Yes, brothers and sisters to winners I do keep. It's hard to have a lot of winners to breed off of 20 pairs that are all winners, so you have to have a judgment within a family of what birds have the characteristics to do it. And there's one thing I do is you have to remember, Ray, when you mate up, you're doing it for one of 2 reasons. One, to breed race birds or to breed stock birds. And I believe you should mate up differently to do whichever one you're doing. You should outcross within a family to breed race birds and inbreed within a family to breed stock birds.
How many youngsters do you breed per year?
Around 120, and by the time I lose a few around the loft, breaking them in, hitting the wires, and I don't have a very good place to break squeakers in for some reason, I lose up to 20 or 30 some years, so the time I have those and then the old birds, I then start the season with old and young birds in total around 170 birds.
Do you race cockbirds?
Oh yes, I love to race cockbirds. I put a lot of time into racing them because I believe that a lot of my best breeding birds come from these racing cockbirds.
Do you cull cocks if in particular you get some large cockbirds in the nest?
Yes, I don't like big pigeons. That's one thing I detest in my family is big pigeons. I've never had a good big pigeon yet in over 20 years, so in the family I've got, I just take them right out. I just don't want them. So if they're sick, I cull them, but if they're true to type and everything, whether they're hens or cocks, they stay here to race.